So, today is April's Fool's Day. That means that today I'm supposed to tell you something that is going to shock you for the rest of the day, I guess, and then I'll come out and say, ha, it's a joke, lol, April's Fools, lol, super funny. But I'm not gonna do any of that today because, you know what, I'm a respectable human being and I would never put you through something like that. What I might do, though, is later on during the day just text my girlfriend that I have AIDS or something and just freak the fuck out of her, because that would be funny, right? Yeah, I think so. Anyways, so what do we have on the schedule today? Well, there's been an update for Battlefield 4 CTE. That's not the retail version, but the CTE, the one that no one plays ever. And what do we get? Well, we get Gungame. And it's regular Gungame. The Gungame that we had from Battlefield 3, and it's back in Battlefield 4. It looks exactly the same. It plays the same. It is just the same. There's two servers at the moment where there's the Gungame with the normal weapons, I guess, and then also pistols only. So I'm not sure if they're going to implement those in the retail version of the game as well, because, I mean, you have to remember this is early alpha stuff, very early stages. And you know what? I actually had a great time. It was fun to relive the old Gungame days. And what was even more fun was to play the game with the smooth 60 Hz netcode. Oh my god. The game feels insanely responsive. I mean, loads better than Battlefield Hardline at the moment. Better than Battlefield 4 Retail, of course. I cannot wait for this change to come into Battlefield Hardline. Cannot wait. Speaking of, there's been no other mentioning... Is that the way I say it? Yeah, sure. There's no other mentions of any of the CTE changes coming to Hardline as of right now, at least not in the first patch. Which is concerning, because I would like to not get trade killed and shot around corners and stuff like that. I would like for those things to disappear, so... yeah, there's no ETA on that. I mean, they will, of course, implement them sometime along the way, it's just a matter of when. And when cannot happen soon enough for me. But back to the updates, what do we get? Well, we get the AN-94, of course, that we all know and appreciate from Battlefield 3. Little side note, there's no textures on the weapon. It just looks like a stick of frozen milk. That's what I would describe it like. It's just, it's white. It's white and it's got you can put sights on it, but it's, other than that, I mean, it's just it's a naked model, which is quite weird. I mean, I don't know why they would put that in. You'd think if they were to patch new weapons and, you know, they'd be weapons that are ready to go, you know, they look like actual weapons, but no, they look like naked milk bars. That's what they look like. So I don't know what happened. Maybe they were working on a tight schedule, they couldn't texture all of the weapons in time, and they just had to throw them in there. I don't know, I honestly do not know, but it just kind of looks silly. It's not a real weapon that you're firing, it's just a milk stick that shoots out bullets. So what else do we get with this weapon pack? Well, we get the L86A2, that's the LMG, also from Battlefield 3. We get the Groza 1 carbine, which is a carbine that, I mean, I've never heard of it. Never heard of it before. We also get the Groza 4 PDW and the Mars Leg Lever Action Pistol. I really like the look of these weapons. They look very Soviet. I'm not sure if they are Soviet. I've never heard of those weapons. I've never seen them before, but they look cool. They look very... yeah, they look like bad guy weapons, like old school bad guy guns. That's how I would describe them. Now, I haven't really had the chance to actually play with all of these weapons, except for the AN-94. I did try out that weapon, and it feels a lot like the Scar H. I'd say it's very on par with the Scar H. Now, I'm not sure about the damage models. I think they're quite similar, though, because they're both supposed to be very high-powered rifles. But other than that, I can't really tell you much about these weapons, other than they look like milk bars. They kind of look cool, and yeah, they're new. So if you have access to the CT and you have the time, go on there and check out the new weapons, and also be sure to check out Gungame, because Gungame is actually surprisingly good. I had a decent amount of fun on it this morning. Now, while I was playing Battlefield 4 again, because I did not only play the CT, which has of course the amazing netcode update, but I also went back to vanilla Battlefield. And I noticed that, netcode-wise, there really isn't a lot of difference between Hardline and Battlefield 4. I mean, there's a slight difference, but the trade kills are just so much more prominent in Hardline compared to how they are in Battlefield 4. Now, gameplay-wise, I do still prefer Hardline because you don't have all of that ridiculous explosive and grenade spam going on. So I really do appreciate that, because when I go back to Battlefield 4, that's the first thing that I get so frustrated about, is that there are just grenades and explosions going on all around you all of the time, 24/7. And also suppression. I mean, suppression in Battlefield 4, I've always disliked it, but I've only recently started to really hate it because it's not there anymore in Hardline. It's pretty much gone. And seeing it back in Battlefield 4 is just like, you know what? You know what, suppression? I really hate you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, oh, Hardline's netcode is just so much worse than Battlefield 4's blah 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 blah. No, none of that stuff. What I'm trying to say is that I wished that Hardline's, let's call it network infrastructure, was a lot more advanced compared to Battlefield 4, and it is not, and that is a shame. And they really are going to have to start patching that up. They really are going to start to fix that, because if they don't, I think in the long run, that's going to do a lot of harm to Hardline, which in itself is not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. I mean, yes, it is very similar to Battlefield 4, like the class system and the fact that it has choppers and, you know, all of that stuff. Like, it is very similar, and you'd think that because it's a new game, it had a lot more time to mature, it had a lot of development behind it, that it would be so much more advanced network-wise compared to Battlefield 4, but in reality, it's not. So I really hope that Visceral is going to tackle those issues as fast as possible and deliver us Hardline the way it was supposed to be delivered. But enough about whatever I was talking about before. I want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Of course, if you liked it, leave a like. And if you want to share it, well then go ahead and please share the video, because that always makes me happy. My name is Dolce, and I love pineapples.
Cameras to capture your image in City Hall. Realize they listen whenever you make a call. If you want a revolution, I really give it to y'all. Strength is the army that bands against bands of dead presidents, determining the life of mankind of cancerous. How we breathe vapors, Greek got us blinking in streets like cheap paper.